So I bring it all the way back to the men. Men have to ask wives to marry them. So if you asking a woman to marry you, you should be ready to be married.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Man, I had to grind trying to make a way. Never get behind, that's from day to day. Gotta say what's on my mind, but I play it safe. We on point all the time when we face to face. It's the great. Man, I had to grind trying to make a way. Never get behind, that's from day to day. Gotta say what's on my mind, but I play it safe. We on point all the time when we face to face. It's the great debate. Wake up every morning to a different question. Hell yeah, we lit. This a different section. Hope you understand, hope you get the message. Back and forth, left and right, like we playing Tetris. Big moves, real talk. Whole crew, yeah, we got that real sauce. Any type of news, man, we got to get it off. Got our eyes on the prize like a real hawk. Man, I had to grind trying to make a way. Never get behind, that's from day to day. Gotta say what's on my mind, but I play it safe. We on point all the time when we face to face. It's the great. Man, I had to grind trying to make a way. Never get behind, that's from day to day. Gotta say what's on my mind, but I play it safe. We on point all the time when we face to face. It's the great debate.
Welcome back to the third episode of The Great Debate. My name is Monique J, and today we have
Score Man,
Lee's, Kata,
St. Lee,
Big Neil,
And Ashley.
Okay, and our first topic of today is what are the qualifications that a man should have in order to be considered husband material?
He better have some money.
that's number one.
He better have some money. The dude can't run no household without no money. He can't be no husband without no money. And that's just how I grew up, so I already know. You better have some money.
All right, but what y'all women feel like a man should have?
For me, I feel like for a husband material kind of qualification, it really starts off with love. First of all, you have to have the capabilities to make somebody fall in love with you that deeply. So you have to have a certain sense of loyalty, a certain sense of communication, a certain sense of compatibility. You guys just gotta like click. That's first off. And yeah, you gotta be financially stable. I'm not saying you have to be a millionaire, but you know, we are all adults. Nobody wants to be with an financially stable person, whether male or female. So yeah, for husband material, I think that's important as well.
Yeah. Slide down the line. Go ahead.
Oh, we're sliding down the line? Yay.
Yeah,
okay, so I kind of feel like, like kind of like we were talking about really before the cameras were rolling, is just that, women do have a lot of qualifications. We do have a lot of pressure, and we kind of do know what we need, actually. Like, I think most people have a sound idea of what a woman should have in 2020 to be considered a wife. A husband, I feel like women need to respect their husband. So I feel like respect is a big thing, and that just kind of trickles down under the umbrella. Kind of respect is the first thing. So how you handle her. She needs to respect you. The fact that you do bring money and finances to the table brings respect in different ways. And if you kind of just go through, like, if you can get through the day with her and still love her through, thick and harder times, I guess, come back to me.
You gotta know what you feel.
For me, definitely financial security, stability, and definitely love is definitely the number one thing. Like, you have to have genuine love for me, who I am, and like me. You have to like who I am and like yourself. Be comfortable in who you are, because that only makes me want to commit and love you more than anything. And definitely being optimistic and being able to like juggle, like being able to have balance, bring balance into my life. Like, there are going to be times where maybe I might lack something and I need you to pick up that slack or whatever. So definitely being able to help balance me out and balance each other out, and just being open-minded to the changes that, happens during relationships, because at the end of the day, when it comes to being a husband and wife, we're in this together for the long run, so that's like some of the things I think that will make you husband material. Yeah.
But now, let her answer. So we're gonna come back to you last.
Well, for me, I guess a husband qualification that is the most important is financial stability, because obviously you want to build with your partner. You can't have two separate people in a marriage. You have to be together. And also just respect. Obviously, I feel like we live in a generation where is just hookup culture. We just want a marriage that has respect, loyalty, and just love. Like you guys were saying, that's very important.
All right, now. It's on you. You let the ladies go. Man, we can go after you.
Okay.
It's your topic, so we're gonna let you.
That's not how they said the thing was gonna go. But anyways, okay. So for me, as far as husband material, because like K-Dot said, there's always these stipulations and rules on a woman needs to be this and a woman should be that, and you're not wife material if you don't do this or you don't do that, cook, clean, whatever the case may be. As far as husband material, for me, I just feel like it should be where you are a provider, where you are a leader. When I'm looking for someone to actually, that I'm gonna say I'm gonna commit to and submit to, I need you to have leadership qualities. I need you to be able to make those decisions, those life-changing, lifelong decisions that are gonna carry our family into whatever the generations are to come. I need you to be able to provide structure. I need you to be able to provide me with, just some type of it. And yes, of course, financial is included in that. But even if it's not financial at the time, of course, your finances need to be good for you to be a single man by yourself anyway. Right. But just saying, even if I'm not worried about your money, I need to see that you have the qualities of a man that is able to lead me into a certain direction that's going to make our life better, make us have a better quality of life, rather than me saying, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing all this stuff to submit to you, but then you don't have anything that you can add back into me as far as leadership and structure in my life. So that's one of the main things for me as husband material that a lot of men don't have and need to acquire before they can be a husband.
Yeah.
I agree.
Can I comment on that? And I like that you said leadership, because with this whole thing with being in a relationship and building to marriage, you want to be with someone husband-wise and man-wise that can lead you to the right direction. Women will not submit until they feel like you have those qualities of leadership. Like you said, like, I want to know that I can trust you.
Correct.
And you'll be able to lead me into that right direction, that everything you say will eventually
ultimately lead us
into,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely important.
So the man got to be the leader of the whole relationship.
Because men these days, they want you to submit to them, but it's like, what am I submitting to?
Right.
What are you showing me? What I don't know this. Like, I don't know. You have to show me that you're gonna lead me to the right direction. That I can trust you. That everything's gonna be fine because you know what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing. You have to be intelligent, smart. Right. Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with y'all, ladies. I agree. It's a rabbit hole for me. I got married young, so I wasn't none of this what y'all talking about. But I still got married. So my wife had to go through all of this with me. I'm that now, I think, because I've been studying, trying to figure it out, trying to be the leader. But when I first got married, I wasn't no leader. I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? I was buying into the concept of playing house, basically. And a lot of men are playing house. So I bring it all the way back to the men. Men have to ask wives to marry them. So if you asking a woman to marry you, you should be ready to be married.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
So that's why I let all the ladies go first, so I can hear what y'all saying. I had to go in my bag. I had to study.
I see that.
I'm like, oh, okay. It's coming with a real topic. This is a real topic. It's not just for us on this panel right here. This for everybody. Because a lot of people don't break it down like y'all just broke it down. But see, y'all know what a man should be, a husband should be.
A husband, correct.
Y'all ain't talk about what a wife should be, but y'all know what a husband should be.
But that's already automatic.
Yes.
Always the topic of
it's not automatic.
No, not saying it is automatic, but like you just said, as a husband, you had to grow into those certain places. And you do feel like if you're going to ask a woman for her hand in marriage and you're going to put her in a position to have to make that decision, you need to be showing her husband qualities. You need to be showing her that you're able to take care of her and make sure she's straight. Not saying she's not going to take care of you, but like you said, a lot of these people want to play house. So you want me to be the person cooking, washing your clothes, doing all of these things, but yet you don't even have the husband qualities to reciprocate my action of what I'm giving you. So now we just playing house. I know my role as a woman, but what's your role as a man? And then when we talk about it,
What he said has me thinking a bit differently, though, because he said that in the midst of him asking his wife to get married, he didn't have those husband qualifications. You feel me? So I feel like it's not necessarily you 100% have to have those qualifications right away, but you should at least have the potential of acquiring those qualifications. You feel me? Have the want, have the drive to be that better man. You feel me? Because women are willing to take the risk if you are willing to grow with them and do better.
No, men taking the risk.
But I think kind of like you have the example of like what was the example that they saw and what were they around. So like Monique could be in a person's life, and because she's maybe of a sounder mind that knew of better examples, she may have to kind of shape the person she's with only because this person's never even seen maybe a functioning relationship that he needs to be responsible for, and now he's responsible for you and your lifestyle and stuff like that. So I feel like a lot of men don't have a lot of examples, so they do love the women who do come along to kind of teach them a couple things that even though it's a bumpy road, you know, a lot of women don't want to teach, of course, but I feel like men don't have a lot of examples of like what they're supposed to be, and a lot of men are not natural born leaders, unfortunately. So we say, you know, you my man, you know, and then that kind of is like when you wear these shoes and I like fill those shoes because you're my man, but it's like I'm not a leader naturally, you know, and that's how a lot of men feel. So I feel like also men have to be accounted for like every day, and I think that's why we're in like hookup culture, as she was saying, because like if you like somebody and you're putting time into them, you got to be accounted for every day. Like I got to be consistent with you. The sex has to be consistent. The communication has to be consistent. The finances, you say you need your hair, now you need the car note, now the rent. I'm going to take that over. So I think the consistency, I feel like men can do good for a period, but now like I got to be consistent and be the same dude for like 6, 7, 8, and you know like. As I hear a lot of y'all speaking, everybody here sounds pretty strong. You know what I'm saying? Like every woman sounds pretty strong from their answers. So I feel like a lot of men, you know, would say that's like shoes to fill just because now they become your man. Now I'm a leader. Now I'm the financier. You know?
And it's intimidating for a lot of men to deal with that. They don't want that responsibility. So that's why we have this culture.
But one more question though is okay, and we can end it with this. Is it in a man's nature, like is it a man's natural place to be a leader, provider, or protector, or are we saying that it's not?
I think it is.
It is.
And I think
it is.
I think it comes down to the women who raise the man. If you, because women gotta raise men to a certain point, then the father should take over. But at first, it's the woman raising men. Women raise women to be men, not men, but leaders.
Honestly, I feel like if there's no examples in their life, let's say fathers, the people that's married around them or whatever like that, they won't really learn it. You're not gonna learn it just like okay, off the limb or whatever. You're not gonna learn it. You have to have like an example in front of you, like oh my father did this. I know how to do this, how to do that. I think it's an example. You have to have that in front of you.
But I was saying is from the start, like in the beginning stages of life. It's the women that nurture the men, men and women. They nurture the men and the women. A lot of the times, what I've seen, a lot of women raise their daughters. That's why we got a lot of strong women nowadays, and they men.
I agree with that 100%.
But I think, but with that being said, though, I think that even raised by all women, you could still be a leader as a man because the way we're talking about being a leader, we're talking about taking charge. Right. But a good leader does not always take charge. A good leader also knows when to listen to his team. A good leader knows how to also follow orders. You know, so I feel like even if you're raised by a woman, because the men that are raised by women, they tend to be a little bit more sensitive. True. But just because they're a little bit more sensitive doesn't mean that they're not a leader, because they're able to decipher and understand where a woman is coming from.
But I think it's how that woman raised them. Because some women, like I said, baby them, and some make them be leaders. You know what I'm saying? It still boils down to the women, like from the beginning.
But I think that that's just a strong quality. I mean, I don't think that even how you were raised, like either you're a leader or you're kind of not. And I feel like a lot of times it's like I said, it's now that you're my man, so fill these shoes. You need to be a leader. And I just feel like some men are just natural leaders, whether they a singular person, they've been a leader since 3, they out here doing what it is. And some men really struggle with really taking charge. And then if you're strong and then you have a strong mind, you're making your own money too. They got to protect you. So So I feel like a lot of men struggle with like, I need to really stand up for my family now, her children now, my children now. And that instantly kind of happened because we're in a relationship now. So I just feel like now in culture, I feel like a lot of men take the easier road and don't want to be. Well, one thing I want to also put in the notes is that I really don't like men who can't do anything with their hands. I'm down with you paying for it. I'm down with, but I don't like that, like Monique said, I gotta cook, clean, I gotta be the greatest at laundry, I gotta iron, I gotta comb kids' hairs, I gotta, but then you can't even, but then you don't know how to change a tire, you don't know how to do a socket, you don't know how to do a little bit of you don't know anything of anything.
Yo, that makes me so mad.
You can't, like little stuff.
I'm independent on my own.
But we have to know how to do stuff with our hands. We have to know that. So then it's like, you're just looking at something, I don't know nothing about nothing.
So
that's
everything
tough.
ain't just about money, that's what you're saying. You still
But
gotta have some other qualities.
because the thing is, it comes to respect. If your husband can tinker a little bit, I respect it. Monique can cook, she does great laundry, she's beautiful, she's great. That's what I'm saying. But if you can't do anything, then I respect you a little less. Cause it's like, well, damn.
What can you do?
What can you do other than pay bills?
What are some qualifications that women should have then?
You want to add that as another topic, or you want to?
We was talking about we talking about the husbands. Because honestly, I've never heard that being touched on any podcast, to be honest. And I just felt like that's probably it's a really fresh subject because we hear about it all day. Like I said, I was scrolling down Instagram and seeing like 4 different posts almost back to back about a woman should do this, a woman should do that. If you're looking for a husband, you should have these qualities. You should have those qualities. And it's kind of like, it gets a little bit frustrating. Not saying that all women have those qualities, but no, and you're right, not all women have those qualities. But me being a Haitian woman of Haitian descent, my mom and my dad are Haitian. I was raised a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? I seen my mom serving her husband. I seen my mom cooking and making sure that she fixed all our plates. I still do it to my kids. They actually get a little bit kind of like nervous, like, Mom, you ain't got to fix our plate. It's in me. It's inbred in me. So I already have that. So all of that.
But that just
what do the husbands need?
But that's circle back to the example.
The
example.
I was born in America.
But I'm saying they came the descendants of Haiti. So
but a lot of people are descendants of everything.
No, but some people still hold on to their cultures though.
Okay, but what I'm saying is when I get with a man though, he's American. I don't even date Haitians. I date American men.
That's why you ain't getting
No, it's not even that. No. Listen to what I'm saying. No, that's okay. You can see what he's saying. No, right. I am talking about examples, but listen to what I'm saying because what you're saying is going to be contradictory. Because what I'm saying is I date American men who still expect for me to have those qualities as a woman.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? But yet they don't possess those qualities.
I get what you're saying.
Do you see what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like, okay, I'm supposed to have these qualities. I do have these qualities, but then still, I'm unable to get any reciprocation from you because of your example and because of what you did.
Right.
So now you're expecting these from me, but then what can I expect from you as a husband?
And you supposed to put them on the spot.
And that's what I ran into, and that's where the question
And
comes
I think
from.
a woman is to make a man better. Like I don't think the women control the man, but I think men should listen to women. Like
they
women
should allow us to make them
y'all
better.
have intuition. You should. You can learn a lot from a woman. It ain't always that the woman learn everything from a man. Because women are smart, intellectual creatures too.
Yeah, they should allow us to make them better.
I
want to lead and don't know where the fuck they going. They want to lead and don't know where the fuck they going.
I agree that they should allow us to make them better because earlier in the conversation we did touch on how women are usually quite submissive. And I feel like men, especially those raised by their dads, they are very hard and they have a problem being vulnerable or submissive. Being vulnerable or submissive doesn't mean you need to be boo-hoo crying. But if I just told you that the food you made is nasty, instead of being upset and walking away from me, tell me how you feel.
No. That was a crazy example, bro. You want him to do what? If I say your food sucks, you're the worst. What?
So the men shouldn't get in their feelings.
No, you can get in their feelings. Oh, he was saying, can men not get in their feelings? I said, yes, they can, but it's not about not getting in your feelings. It's about being vulnerable enough to share your feelings.
Right. Okay.
You feel me?
That's a good one. That's good.
And you want everybody to hear it?
No, I was just saying as far as like the submitting thing and being open, like, and optimistic to the men. Like, if I cook something, you didn't like it, okay, that's fine. Well, that's why you should also be cooking too and be open to doing that, learning that, and being able to, it's not always gonna be me. And you should also be able to, hey, go ahead, I don't care. Like, I was raised in a household where not just my mom was doing all the cooking and cleaning. My stepdad was definitely handling up in the kitchen and picking up the slack if my mom was out working and doing etc. Like, it's not always on just one of us. So being open and optimistic to that opportunity and meeting each other halfway, like, it's okay. That's not about getting in no feelings. It's just.
Well, touching back on what you were saying, I think we raise men with toxic masculinity, so they're not vulnerable. They're not telling you how they feel, so then they get frustrated. And like you said, with that example, that's a good example. It's funny, but it's a good example, because men, we're not teaching them to be expressive with their emotions, and then we're trying to find a partnership with these men, and they're not even like telling you how to really feel. And they're not open to bettering themselves either. They don't let you in, so it's hard to find a partner in this generation, in my opinion. It's so difficult.
And men don't share.
Yeah.
Men really do not share, and that is the toughest
they
thing.
bottle
They do
everything
not
up.
share.
Yeah.
And then they may share at such a late point in the period that it's like, dang,
Yeah.
you know how late this is?
Like, way
you're
into
saying
deep.
this now.
Into deep, yeah.
And then they develop feelings towards things that if we would have spoke about this one, they do not share. But we overshare, and I feel like we wouldn't actually even overshare if they shared. Like,
But they'll quickly act petty though.
But they won't express themselves, and that's frustrating. It's super frustrating. Oh gosh, yeah, this topic is really good.
You gotta mold them. You're gonna have to make them feel comfortable and find a way to pull that out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so y'all say to be a husband, you gotta be a provider,
Vulnerable.
a protector. So you gotta be vulnerable to be a husband?
Yes.
Well, at least with your mate. You don't have to be vulnerable with everybody else out there. When you're coming home and you're building with me, you should be a little bit certain degree of vulnerable. Not necessarily all the time. You can put,
You gotta play the tough role a little bit.
You can play the tough role and you can put your foot down, but if you're building something with someone on the outside, okay, you got to be tough, you got to put your foot down. But when you come home, you can be a little bit vulnerable for me, so I know how we moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, put me on point so I know how we moving. So when I say vulnerable, it's not about you crying and just being all stop, but just actually putting it out there and letting it out a little bit so that I know how we moving. So when we go to this party and I know you don't fuck with this nigga, I know to not be, you know what I'm saying, all buddy with his wife. You get what I'm saying? I know what to put me in position. That's all I'm saying.
and I feel like when you're a woman and you share, you're also maybe sharing with him, like, look, that's Kiki, say hey to Kiki, but we ain't really got the guest history. Like, you share, no, that's not my best friend. We might tell her, man, that men don't even be telling us, like, enough.
Yeah, and then after that, you done said, hi. And you're like, oh, go ahead, two motherfucking friends.
Oh no!
I even said nothing to them. I thought that was the homeboy. My bad.
Hey you guys, welcome back to the Great Debate. So now we're gonna get into the second topic. Should therapy be normalized before getting married?
Yes, 150% yes. You need to come healed. I don't care what your ex did when you were 15 years old. I don't care. You need to heal, because how are we going to progress in a relationship if you're not healed? And it's not even necessarily that there's a problem in the marriage or anything like that, but it's just so you guys are on the same page and you guys are, again, vulnerable with each other. 'Cause that's what a marriage is all about at the end of the day.
I just got a short answer, yes.
I'm gonna piggyback off of her answer just really, really quickly. I do agree with the come healed, but I think what's even more important behind coming healed is the willingness to heal. And so it's kind of like we always say come healed, but sometimes your journey is over 10 years, right? And if you're meeting someone within that healing journey, it doesn't mean that you guys can't try to progress and be together and be in a relationship, but the willingness from both parties to heal and to actually come together and compromise for the relationship. And of course, the answer is yes, you should go to therapy before, you said get married? Yeah, before you get married. But even if you're not all the way healed yet in that process, the willingness to heal and work together to get there, I think is very, very important.
So to piggyback off of Monique, I think that we are in a beautiful generation, and I couldn't be more proud of our generation for knowing that healing exists and that it's something that is accessible and it's something that you can work towards. And I do not think that generations before us, going to my mother's generation, in the back, I never heard my uncle saying, "Bro, you need to heal, my brother." You know what I'm saying? I never heard, at the barbecue, Elroy, you need to heal, my brother. You need some healing, Elroy. I never heard that, so that's why we say negative things about our generation. But I'm so happy for our generation to know that we can meditate and have health checks on your friends and to ask them, really, like I had a lot of my homeboys up, like, but how are you really feeling, like, mentally? Are you mentally strong? How you feel? Because I want to know, like, is there anything we can help? It's just, even if it's a conversation, because I feel like that's really all therapy really is you're kind of like talking yourself through and then kind of coming to conclusions on things you didn't know. And so with our culture now in our generation, I feel that sometimes a woman kind of sometimes even let some of these boys know or men know there's healing that is available, because I don't feel like they're fully aware, and even when I try to get different men to meditate with me, it's kind of like a struggle. They don't want to sit there for that long, and when are we gonna go eat? You know what I mean? So I can normally meditate for a lengthy period. I can meditate for like an hour. So it's like, this is 4 minutes. You're like, oh, bang, what the hell? Like, so I think you got to work with people, but.
Well, this question had me thinking very differently, because usually when people do enter into a marriage and stuff like that, they check up on different things. Like, when last did you go to the doctor? Do you have any STDs? Do you have any family? No, I'm so serious. Do you have any family diseases? Like, does cancer run in your family? Do you guys have hypertension, like diabetes, whatever the case may be?
Alcoholism.
Yeah, alcoholism. But I feel like no one ever checks up on the mental health. You feel me? Like, where are you mentally? And when I say, you guys spoke on the aspects of healing, but I feel like not only for the aspect of healing, because there are a lot of mental diseases out here.
What?
So yes,
everybody's got it.
Yeah. So like, okay. So I feel like we should go into therapy not only for you to heal from your past situations, but also for us to assess your brainwaves, for us to see where your mindset is. Do you have any mental issues? Is there a possibility our child could end up being crazy, bipolar? Like, let's see what's going on in the head. No one ever checks up on the mental health, and I think it's very important.
But that takes a man to be brave, though. That takes a brave man to now see where he is flawed, especially mentally. You know what I'm saying? That takes a strong man, because when you can talk, I feel like a lot of women think that they're in a situation where, like, a lot of women don't understand that their stress from a man is their mental crazy. Like, a lot of men have dealt with trauma that they will never tell you, that you'll never know. So it's kind of like, we'll think that we're having like a struggling or problematic relationship, but you're dealing with his mental health and how he handles situations. So what she's saying, I feel like that still takes a strong man to now know that you might be a little crazy, and we have to kind of work through that. No one wants to find that out, and men don't want to hear that.
I think, okay, so the therapy, as far as that is concerned, I think, okay, if a person is with a female or whatever, he got to have this, what can I say, this space that he's dealing with other girls and this, that, and the other, because he can't get with this girl going into that relationship with baggage. He can't get with trouble and his mental state, like you were saying, you know what I'm saying? So I think that if he can get all that out the way before you get with this person.
Yeah, which is rare.
You know what I'm saying? Which is rare. You know what I'm saying? I think if he can dig and do that, he'll be all right.
I feel that. That's
relationship, he got to get that right. He got to get it right.
So what you saying? You saying men are more in their head? A lot of times when they're in relationships, they already in their head.
Yes, in their head. If they ain't right in their head, he can't get with that girl, bro.
But at the same time, I feel like we're talking about therapy as it's gonna be a solve all be all. You feel me? It's not a magical. It's not a magical potion. Even if I went to therapy before the marriage, that doesn't mean I'm all the way together. We might still need to continue.
We might still have problems.
Yeah. That was gonna be my long answer.
It's a never-ending process.
It's a never-ending process. You should go all the time.
It's a never-ending process. It's to go back.
Should we start?
You should start therapy. I think you should start therapy, honestly.
Honestly, going back to the question and how I asked it, for one, I feel like therapy just should be normalized, period, especially within our community.
Yeah.
But if you do come to that space where you're with someone and you want to be with them and you want to get married and you guys are engaged, before tying the knot and officially being husband and wife, as a couple, you should definitely do therapy together to make sure that everything is okay. Everything will be okay, because mentally, at the end of the day, we're very two different people. The man and the woman are going to be two different people, and you guys are just coming together saying, okay, we want to do this for the long run, but can we handle that for real? Like, what are we getting into? And mentally, like, especially within these last 10 years, a lot has transpired, a lot has been going on, and a lot of people have been challenged mentally, and a lot of these things we don't talk about in our culture, and it's on the men and the women. I started going to therapy when I was in college. When I knew I couldn't handle certain things on my own, I'm just thinking to myself, dang, if I can't do this on my own, how am I going to get with someone and expect to deal with it while I'm with them? How is that going to work for me? How is that going to work for the other person? You have to be very considerate. And that's just not just with husband and wife and getting married, but this is just overall with relationships and life. If you can't handle the stresses with, life is not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So things are going to happen, especially these past 2 years with everything going on with the pandemic and etc. People have been challenged mentally. Marriages have been tested. Families have been tested. Kids are going through it. So you get to see firsthand how certain things, especially outside, can really influence what's going on inside.
Yes. So then I was gonna ask you, like, do you think they should go for therapy not only as a couple but individually as well?
Individual.
I feel like that's why I say I normalize it to do on your own as well.
Yes.
But we live in a society and generation where a lot of people do not do therapy at all.
You gotta get your head right.
If that's the case, then yes, have your own. And one thing the therapist is gonna do is tell you, you need some sessions alone. We're gonna do some with you, and we're gonna do some with y'all together. So yes, if you've never been to therapy at all, and you're trying to do therapy as a couple and then get married, definitely it's gonna be considered that you should definitely do therapy alone as well.
Definitely. That's all.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I had one more question.
Go ahead, ask the question.
Okay, I have one more question. I don't know if I'm old school because I'm from the Caribbean as well, just like her, and we are a little bit behind the times sometimes. So usually at my church back home, the pastor would talk to you like a week or 3 weeks before. Do you find that to be enough time?
No.
It might not be enough time.
Okay.
I definitely.
Because you ain't gonna get all in your business. You gotta get in your business a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit more time.
Well, I feel like that should have been already kind of established with the couple. If you're like a Christian, if that's where you're rooted, you know what I'm saying? You do like couple stuff in the Christian church with other couples and other ministers and other lines. So, I mean, but like you said, if we're doing it like that, that's not really the pastor's job though, weeks and months beforehand. Like you kind of already got to be a Christian couple, like that's what you're into to be, like that's what you're seeking, you know what I'm saying? Like, because what if you're not that Christian, but you want to get married in the church? What you supposed to be going with the pastor 6 months ahead of scale? I don't know.
I think the pastor does provide like therapy, but usually they provide services where it is only like maybe 3 weeks to a month prior to you tying a knot.
They're gonna be the one
make sure if they're officiating, they're usually is like, okay, well, we need to meet with you guys, make sure you guys are on the same page before I officiate your marriage. But as far as therapy and as far as the couple, even if they are a Christian couple, I do think that even if they find a Christian-based therapist or whatever, someone who believes in their beliefs, I do think that it's probably something that should happen way before they even go and sit down with the pastor.
Well, let me ask you, do you guys? No, he's not. Do you guys feel like?
But do they ever tell people not to get married? Like,
Yes.
Hey, y'all don't need to do that. I'm gonna take your money, but you really shouldn't
And
do
then you
that.
start looking at your partner like, wait, I didn't know you.
They do.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
And now
they
you're starting
will.
to think like, okay, wait, maybe this is something we have to take a little bit more time
And
on.
let's think
because
about
that's
it.
a big commitment.
But
You're
can
changing
a
your
couple,
name, you're
can a
putting it on
couple go
paper.
to therapy before even marriage? Can a couple go to therapy together before marriage?
Definitely. I think
Like
couples
you
therapy
said.
should be normalized.
But I'm saying, like, if you're dating someone for 6 months, can you say, let's go to therapy together?
Especially if you're if you see you're investing invested in it and you see a future in it,
Yes.
and you really want it to work, and it is working, but you just notice some things that I think couples therapy period.
And
is
even
a good
if you
thing to
don't,
have.
even if you don't notice some things, I think sometimes, I'm a pretty healthy person. I know I got my crazy moments, and most people feel like they're pretty healthy people, right? Most people, we're gonna feel like we're pretty healthy people, regardless of our dramas, traumas, past, whatever. But when you're getting to know someone, regardless if it's a good relationship, that doesn't mean that therapy isn't necessary. Because sometimes there may be some hidden thoughts or hidden, viewpoints, or maybe the way that I look at the world and the way that you look at the world, whatever it may be, that doesn't align. So it may come up years later, but if we were dating at 6 months and decided to go to therapy, it may have come up during that, and we would be able to say, oh, okay, well, I do, like you a lot, and I do think you're a really cool person, but this, I didn't know that you thought that way. And rather than me finding out 5 years later, I'd rather find out while we're dating through the therapy session. We like each other enough to just go to therapy and figure it out.
But in 5 years time, you could do a lot of different things. Like, you can have a lot of different experiences that
y'all been done had
to go
kids,
back to therapy.
And you ain't even know that I like Buddha statues. Like,
wait a minute, what?
Everybody talks to me about my Buddha statues.
But what's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with that, but some Christians feel like
But that ain't got nothing to do.
But I love being Zen. I love being peaceful. I love certain practices.
It's just like I look.
It's just what it is. No, I mean, I love some of the practices, but I don't consider myself a Buddhist. You get what I'm saying? But I do love some of the, Christian and all that.
Honestly, I feel like this.
Universal.
I also feel like this.
That's up, Scorpion.
Listen, I also feel like this. Talking to your mate is therapy. It's therapy too.
You have to open that
Talking
space.
to her,
You have
away
to
from
have
the
that
kids, away
space.
from everybody.
But you gotta have
real serious conversations.
But that comes down to the day-to-day relationship between, do you have that kind of a relationship of a space where someone feels comfortable? Do you over talk the person? Are you really strong-minded?
Well, y'all know that's my problem.
You gotta have an open space.
No, I was saying to piggyback off, I don't know, way back, you guys, someone said it, that mental health when it comes to men is not discussed at all. So that's why we have high suicide rates with men, because they don't feel like they could be vulnerable. And we look down on men when they talk about their feelings. And then women, we talk about our feelings like it's nothing. Like, we're like, bruh, I don't like it that you did this. We're emotional people. And I think now that you said also our generation is kind of changing that narrative, and we're shifting now that men are going to therapy now a little bit more.
Saving lives.
Yeah, and it's just something that needs to be discussed. I think this is an amazing topic.
It is. Yeah, you get rough out here.
Yes.
Go ahead. Keep going. What you gonna say?
Nothing.
As women, I think I'll say this though. As women, I think I'm not saying y'all are like that or I'm like that, but just in general for the viewers, as women, we have to be able to create that space and make the man feel comfortable, because I've been there. And,
I agree.
And it's very easy you can't be judgmental. You can't react. Our reaction is everything. You know what I'm saying? So,
true.
because a man, if he loves you enough and y'all been together for some time, or however the relationship may be, he'll try. Trust me, he'll try. You just have to be open-minded and be able to make him feel like he can come to you and say something without you reacting, because that one reaction will change
shut him down.
It will shut him down forever. Now you're never gonna hear him tell you how he feels. So as women, I'm gonna just be real. As women, we can be very tough on men and very judgmental. We can't do that if we want them to be open and speak on how they're feeling.
I agree.
So be very fragile with them. We think men are not fragile, and we say it all the time. We joke about it like, man, men be acting like this and that, but behind closed doors, okay, we know that. If we know behind closed doors they could be very sensitive, think about that in the moments where you want them to be vulnerable. You can't ask for something and then they give it to you and then we're not really receiving it. So we have to be very receiving of that. Yeah, and when it bursts out, it's really bad. It's bad. It's really bad.
But Scorp, you actually made a statement. He was saying, do you agree with that? And you said it goes both ways. Can you elaborate real quick?
I feel that, females, they kind of hold things too. They kind of hold things too. And it can explode.
Yeah.
Real
And
bad.
because we're emotional naturally, it would be 10 times worse than what we might experience from a man.
Yes.
So it's important that as men and women that we're doing that.
But I just feel like in a lot of places, when were men ever, you know, and especially in their household ever, like able to share? You know, so this is new, I feel like, to a lot of men. Like, I don't think that, you know, I grew up in a family that we shared like a lot. But then in my friends, you know, people really be in their own worlds and everyone's functioning, but kind of in their own spaces. So I don't feel like a lot of boys get asked, like, how are you feeling today? How do you feel inside? You know, do you have everything on your mind? You know, I don't really
I do it with my son.
Don't get asked.
I do that.
I ask my kids that though. I ask my boys that.
Reason why.
That's why I do it too.
That's why
I
we
do
have
it
to
too.
change it.
We're learning.
Yeah, we gotta change that.
Even when you're growing up,
sit down.
boys, like you tell them, don't cry, men don't cry, like stuff like that. That just
alone
it's ingrained in their head.
Yeah, but we got feelings too now.
And so
We
what
got
was
feelings.
crazy.
We want to be baby too.
And
We wanna feel
I
special.
learned that growing up, men don't cry and don't cry. As a single mom raising my boys from like 1 to like 10, I used to be like, don't cry. And I'm gonna hit you in your chest 10 times. You better not cry. That's how I
That's how we
was.
was raised.
But as I enlightened myself and actually became more of a spiritual universal person, I realized that I was wrong. So what I did is I went and I apologized to my children. And a lot of black people will tell me, don't be apologizing to them kids, they'll be all right. But I was like, no, what I did in the beginning, how I was taught was wrong. And not saying that I shouldn't discipline my kids, but the way that I disciplined them was a little bit extreme. So I should apologize to them and let them know, hey, I got this wrong. I was 17 when I had them. So I'm learning while you guys are learning, but this is the way I want things to be. So now in our household, we talk and I say, how are you doing? And I do check on their feelings and I do let them know it's important for you to express yourself and it's okay. You can still be, you know, a leadership, you can still be a strong guy, but it's okay for you to talk to mommy and let mommy know, like, hey, this got on my nerves today at school, or whatever the case may be.
Open
Instead
up.
of always
Listen to
let
me.
it out.
Say that.
And not just being hard because you feel like mommy's gonna be like, oh, you can't
She don't
express
wanna hear it,
yourself,
yeah.
you know?
But I was gonna say, sad to say, some people are stuck in their ways. So some people will still go like that and say, don't cry. But I would like to say, for those kind of people, if you feel as though your sons should not cry, maybe rather than teaching them not to cry and bottle up their feelings, teach them, okay, don't be soft and be crying, but be able to talk it out. Because if you're growing up, going to middle school, elementary school, if you're gonna be a little boy crying everywhere, you're gonna get your butt beat.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't cry, but my
So
kids
be
But
talk
some
about
people,
it. You feel me?
some people don't cry at all.
just would not cry.
Some people don't cry. And that scares me.
Some
when a
people
person
don't cry.
No, I'm saying some people don't show their
It's
emotions
scary.
at all,
It's almost
and that scares me
sociopathic.
more than a person that
It's
shows.
sociopathic.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? Because I had two men in my life commit suicide, and when I think back, I never seen neither one of them cry.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
never
saying?
seen them express
Yeah, I
their
never seen
emotions.
them express their emotions. But I seen it. One was my uncle.
Oh, I'm sorry. to
You know what I'm
hear
saying? I seen them happy, but I've never seen them sad.
Yeah.
Like, and that it threw me off. You know what I'm saying?
that. And them be the people you got to check on your strong friends. 'Cause
Yeah.
all that happiness
Yeah.
all the damn time.
It's covering up a
It's
lot.
covering up a lot
It is.
that we don't see.
So you gotta ask people about their, mental state.
Absolutely.
Even when they ain't showing it. You just
So therapy is
constantly
important.
ask.
Yes. Therapy.
And if you love someone, be patient with them and stick by them, even if it's hard and they're not mentally like in the right place. You just have to be a part of that process with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you love them.
And you can take the time to think to yourself too. Go in the corner, sit your ass down, you know what I'm saying? And just pray.
Yeah,
For real. Love. Score man in the building.
So thank you guys for watching and tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Also, very important, if you feel like you know anybody struggling with their mental health, or if you are struggling with mental health, feel free to ask for help. It's okay. Just definitely find someone that you're comfortable with and ask them for help. It's definitely okay. Let's get you all the help that you need. Thank you for tuning in.